What's up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here. We are at Dynamic Discs Iron City with a bit of a special occasion because my coach, Mike Strauss, is actually in town for the week. We were working on some things with my disc golf game, and we opened up to people in the area, hey, we're going to have a experienced coach in town if you guys want to book a lesson. I wanted to talk about just this idea of finding a coach a little bit, so that's what we're going to dive into today. Before Silas rolls the intro, we got to ask obviously the most important question. How are you doing today, Caleb? You having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
So when it comes to finding a coach, one of the biggest things is finding a coach who fits your style, that works well with you, because lots of times it is different teaching styles that come from coaches. And you guys are probably experiencing this in the YouTube world alone of, oh man, Mr. YouTube man is really corny and I kind of hate that guy. He really harshes my vibe and my mellows. And then other people are probably out there like, I mean, I have to admit, as a sophisticated fella, I do think that Joshua and Michael over at Overthrow find precision from them lads. I learn quite a bit from the overthrows. And I want to be the first to tell you that I completely agree with you. I think they're fine fellows and they are amazing human beings and they're doing fantastic work in the disc golf space. We talked about this during a coaching clinic up at the Northeast Disc Golf Expo, but I want to say that it is important to realize that there is a three-step process to working with a coach. The first is obviously finding a coach. The second is working with them and trusting that process to work and giving it proper time. And the third is making sure that, man, do we continue this process or do we skip back to step one? When it comes to step one, I think it's important to realize that there is a multitude of ways that you can go about finding a coach and finding someone who's going to fit your play style and your sort of learning style as well, because coaching comes down to certain information being passed along, and there are certain focus points that each coach is going to look at while they're working with them. For instance, when Mike has been here, we've been watching people, we were at a local course watching people tee off, and we were even talking about how would I work with this person? What do I see as a glaring issue with him first? And then what does Mike see as a glaring issue with him as well? And how do you take that process? And I'm coming from a guy who's learned a lot from Mike in the process. And even what my eye naturally gravitates towards is going to be different for different coaches because there's different aspects of focus. So some of the common ways that you can find your coach is you can find someone locally who is experienced in not only throwing the disc perhaps, but mostly you want to find someone who can portray and relay relevant information that's going to help you improve at the game. So just going to the best player in your local area doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to translate into being the best coach. Just because they may not be able to throw elite distances or anything like that doesn't mean that they're a bad coach. Great coaching comes down to that ability to relay that relevant information. If you can't find someone in your local area, which depending on the scene that you're in, a lot of people are still on Facebook when it comes to disc golf. Disc golf's a little bit old in the modern technological era for that. But if you can't find someone locally, maybe ask around on your local course or local leagues, and that usually can get you somewhere in the right direction. But if you can't find someone locally, then you need to look online. I would always recommend working with someone locally versus online, because there's just a difference in being able to put someone's body in the right positions and have them get to that feeling a lot easier rather than just working through the digital aspect. But maybe there's a coach that you love who is digitally located, and so therefore you decide, hey, I'm going to work on this person's Patreon, or I'm going to head over to this person and work with them and do these online virtual lessons. Either way, whenever you find your coach, you're going to end up in step two. So once you find your coach and you start working with them, the big piece is trusting the process and letting it take time for that relationship to develop. I think lots of people are going to watch or work with a coach for one session. They're going to head to the field and be like, it worked. I'm throwing 1,000 yards now, and I actually set world record after world record, which is probably not actually going to happen. Once you start working with someone, it takes time for, especially if you've changed something or something in a major way, it's going to be different. So you're probably going to have less fluidity than you did with your old form, which might actually lead to a lack of results starting off. Change is not always easy, and a change does not always immediately produce results. But once again, that's where we come into the trusting the process. How you can delay this process and also honestly break trust with your coach is by going to this coach and watching one video and being like, oh, wow, that was amazing. I thought it was great. I was working with them. They were telling me what to do. But then this video popped up and now I'm living in this camp over here and I just heard about this move. And so I want to talk about it. So then when I end up back in another lesson here with my actual coach that I may be paying or working with, and I start referencing material, which is something that I've heard a lot of. I'll work with someone and they'll say a phrase that I know because I spend a lot of time watching coaching content as well, so that I know what you guys are hearing and I know what you guys are having fed into you. And they'll use a phrase that I know is from another coach, and that immediately triggers me to, okay, so you're watching them. And so I'll just straight up ask, like, so why their videos? Do you want to work with them? Because their methodologies and what they're going to focus on are going to be different than what I'm going to focus on and what I think is going to be the building blocks. And so if you're pulling from both strands, you're not trusting the process and you're not giving your coach nor yourself a fair chance for that relationship to work. And that brings us back around to step 3. Should you continue with this coach and continue down that trust relationship? Or should you turn around and head to another coach? For instance, Mike has been in the shop literally from the moment we opened today. In fact, honestly, before we opened today, all the way until we are closed, Mike's been doing lesson after lesson after lesson, and we've been asking people after they finish, what did you think about the lesson? What are you focusing on? And there is an interesting thing here about setting up correctly before you go further along in the shop. It seems to be like an overarching thing. But what do they all think about it?
My name is Chris Williamson. I've been playing a little over 2 years.
I'm a COVID player, so 2021-ish, yeah.
I've been playing for about 2 years.
Mike Lemonak, 20 years, but really only about 10 months.
Scott Burdett. I've been playing seriously for 3 or 4 years. Started playing back in 2002, 2003. So I've been playing for around 20 years on and off.
Tommy McGraw, and a year now.
It was fantastic. I really felt like he was able to pick up a lot of the things that I was interested in trying to work on, some of the issues I've been having, and some of the frustrations I've had with kind of inconsistency with my throws.
It was awesome. Yeah, and I mean, very thorough and gave me a printout of things I need to work on. And I'm looking forward to him coming back to Birmingham.
That was awesome. I think I started out maybe doing some things that were not right as far as my form is concerned. So we focused more on form for the most part, and identified some things right off the bat and got those things corrected. So hopefully, I can't wait to get out and try it.
It was fantastic. He found some things that I hadn't thought that I needed to work on, and very personable, very coachable, very to the point as well. And all the drills that he emulated and had me do were straight to the point. No superfluous movements.
Really good, really good. Able to point out some flaws, and then I could feel whenever he called them out, instantly could tell what was wrong.
The lesson with Mike was fantastic. Very analytical, and he could break it down probably more analytical than you'd even want, but worked great. It was fantastic.
Well, I think a lot of it is around footwork and really just trying to kind of make sure that I'm getting good hand position on the front end and then good body position on the back end, right at the point of release, at the point of the brace. That's been hugely helpful.
So on the X out, not basically pulling all the way back, to get some more distance. So it's not look all the way back, kind of smaller steps I guess is basically what I'm getting at. I was doing a huge X out, so.
My reach back has always been a problem, and so I think just the mechanics involved in the reach back itself, I think, is what he's got me focusing on for right now.
Head movement. When my arm is back, I used to have it here. He's saying keep it here, so it follows through.
Mainly my reach back going high to low before I was going through and curling way back up. So now coming up high, bringing it back down low.
Changing my grip up a little bit to rear loaded from front loaded.
Probably the wrist placement. I'm not very good with my wrist, so actually getting it to go where I want it to is the issue. But I feel like now I can actually get it to bend how I want it to bend.
So the question would then be, y'all, do they continue with Strauss? Do they head in another direction? And obviously, if it seems all positive, like they said in the post, they would all want to continue. They don't want to move forward. But we know people. We know you. Some of these folks are going to head to the course, and it's not going to go as according to plan as they've felt while they're out there in the net. Because that's how it works, and it's not always that easy to make the change. And so they may get frustrated and then head to the next YouTube video and watch and be like, that's what I need to do instead. And it is that point that you are at the crossroads and you have to decide, which direction do I want to move with coaching? Because I promise you that it's easier on the coach to help change your form, to help you progress where you actually want to go if you trust the process. The moment that you stop trusting your coach, you have to make that decision in order to save the frustration of the coach and to save the frustration of yourself. Should I continue or do I go back to step one? So that's going to wrap things up for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope that if you're out there trying to find a coach, trying to improve your game that way, beyond maybe just watching videos and taking that next step in your game, this is a helpful sort of guideline that you can use to walk down that journey. In the meantime, I want to say thank you as always for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week and that you can make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now, we're going to leave you with the birdie.